So I was walking in the airport, and a woman walked by, and her face literally looked like it was made out of plastic, like shiny plastic, like a Barbie doll. And I couldn't help but stare because I've never seen anything like that. And as she walks by, I turn and I look, and I see this other complete stranger who did the exact same thing. And we locked eyes, and we're like, oh, wow. Like, that was kind of wild, wasn't that, dude? Like, I've never seen anything like that. We didn't exchange a single word, but that gaze was everything. And I was like, does that happen to everybody? Because that happens to me a lot. I feel like I witness things, and then I'm like, do you see what I just saw? And I'm like, yeah, I did.
This isn't quite the same thing, but I was at the Delta Lounge at JFK last month, and I walked out of the bathroom, and a man said something to me.
What? Deserves
Delta
it.
Lounge.
No, Delta Lounge. Come on.
Look at me, Louise.
We told the story without the Delta Lounge.
Yeah, I was
at the airport,
and I saw a guy, and the guy walked out of the bath. Like, the lounge part was just very look at me, Louis. But go ahead, continue.
I was just describing where I was.
It's important.
Lounge bona fides? She was giving off a
It
list.
wasn't even my lounge. Like, I went as a companion to my boyfriend, who is actually, like, has lounge access because he travels a lot. You could look at me Louis and Lee if you want. But
that's elitist just to have lounge. I thought that all the lounge people were mad because now there are too many lounge people because you can do it with coupons during the pandemic.
And credit cards as well.
Yeah, people hate it now because of the line. Get over
I didn't even
yourselves.
think it was a flex anymore.
What does an airport lounge look like for those like me who have never been in one?
I don't.
There's just big.
There's a spread.
The
There's free
1980s.
drinks.
There's
It's
big
great.
chairs. There's outlets. It's just more spread out and comfortable. It's quiet and people.
The Wi-Fi is better.
The bathrooms are
Immaculate.
so much nicer.
Immaculate
They
bathroom.
used to
make
be,
it
but then they
worth
started
it.
letting everyone in, right? I mean,
I think
that's
the
what you're
bathrooms
saying.
are still
the bathrooms are still
worth-
elite.
They play classical music while you're peeing. It's amazing.
How do you know
It's like
like
Fresh Market.
when like there's an update for your flight? Like how do you know when they're like boarding?
They announce it.
Really? So it's just
No.
constant
Not
announcements.
really.
There's
Not
screens
really.
too
There-
that show all the flights.
Yeah.
It is a dangerous game because you can kind of get swept up in the lounge experience and forget what time and how long it takes to get to your gate. Like, we ended up making it to our flight as our group was boarding because we cut it a little too close.
The most elite level of lounge is when you can see your plane from inside the lounge. Because our gate's right there, and I can actually see the jetway. And see
I mean, you need to understand. I don't think people understand. Now, we're going to get into the Amin wheelhouse here
I didn't even
because
finish my story.
I will get to it in a
She was
second.
in the lounge.
I want to
Delta
get to
Sky
get
Lounge.
to your story, but you don't understand that you gave off your elitism. Billy's fascinated by your elitism.
I've just never had like a chill experience at an airport ever.
And the thing that Amin's about to describe you, I'm just saying that Amin is a seasoned traveler. Amin has all the awards, all the bonuses. He is a professional traveler.
all drop steps and jump stops and everything. I'm killing it with my footwork when it comes to airports. But Billy, the number one thing is the bathroom, the cleanest bathroom. Number two is the Wi-Fi is great. Number three is an open bar and free food too. So you just go there and you get loaded.
You never had a chill experience at the airport because all the chill people are in the lounge.
Yes,
and they're all keeping them to themselves, except for this man. I walked out of the bathroom in the Delta Lounge, and this man said something to me, and I stopped and mistakenly asked him, "Sorry, what was that?" instead of just ignoring him, which is what I should have done.
So, yes, always
pinching myself for not just walking by. And I said, "Sorry, what was that?" And he said, "Oh, I said nice leggings." And I was like, "Ugh." And I kept walking, and there was a woman walking behind me. And I turned around, and she looked at me, and we looked at each other, and I was like, that was fucking weird.
Did you
actually say it?
Or was it
Or
just
did your eyes
in the
say
gaze?
it? Yes.
We said it with our eyes, and then I
Good.
said it out loud to the man.
Oh.
And then I walked back to where Lee was sitting, and I was like, I just got sexually harassed at the Delta Lounge.
What did Lee do? I mean,
Well, wait a minute. Why does he have to do anything?
well, what do you mean? I mean,
Well, he can't do anything. He can't fight in the airport.
Also,
That's
Fight.
Why?
Also,
Who
why
said fight?
Why'd you have to point out it was a Delta Lounge?
I would have done.
It was also the incorrect use of pinch myself.
Yeah.
Pinch
it was.
myself is when you're
I noticed
trying
it as
to
well.
remind yourselves. An
Yeah.
In
incorrect
fact,
use of an
Woody and I
idiom.
just had that moment.
Sorry, next
We
time
did
I
it
get
right.
sexually harassed.
We had a moment.
Okay.
We had a moment. We looked this up. That was an incorrect use of
you're
an
right.
idiom.
The next time I'm recounting getting
what?
sexually harassed at the Delta
not
Lounge,
funny. Not
I'll
funny.
make sure I don't mix my idioms.
I
Thank
mean-
you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the
Who do you
feedback.
call idiom?
What Amin is saying, and I do believe that this is an area of nuance and clarification required here. Amin is saying you never say out loud anything. He's saying a moment with a total stranger, someone you've never communicated with in any way, and yet you can communicate with your eyes because you just witnessed something, but you're not even going to say out loud what you're thinking about.
No words need to be said because we both know exactly, oh, shit, that just happened. So, Jess, actually, your story was perfect. Well, no, but you said it to the dude. You didn't say it to the woman. The fact that you and the woman both like, are you shitting?
It's an unspoken
I
moment.
can't believe that man just said that out of the blue in the Delta Lounge.
It's such a cool feeling. Not being sexually harassed.
Oh, yeah. There's lots of not perfect parts of that story.
Great clarification. Yes.
Mike Schur is here now, and we've got to get
saving a butte.
Not really.
I turned on my microphone, heard a woman tell a story of being sexually harassed, and then watched as 8 dudes stepped in it one after another.
Yes.
Just not a single one of you,
saw.
Including Lee.
And you think your job is bad, Mike?
That is, you got it exactly right. I felt
just boom, right down the line.
Terrible.
Witty correcting her use of an idiom.
Yes.
Amin saying that's a cool story, whatever. just one after another.
It's
all
art.
80
If you were doing a
morons.
spoof of how to do that, it would be really
Save this
funny.
clip for the lawsuit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's honest to God. Let's do stat of the day.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
Congratulations to Ben Simmons of the Brooklyn Nets, who yesterday, according to StatMuse, had his first 10-point game in more than 500 days. He had 11 points on 5 of 7 shooting, and the Nets gave up 153 points to the Sacramento Kings and lost by 32.
I saw that box score this morning. I couldn't believe it. I went to bed and someone had put in a group chat, here's the halftime box score. The Kings have 72 points. And then I woke up and then the Sacramento Kings scored 80 in the second half. 80
Sacramento
points.
Kings are fun to watch
Yes.
and essentially unstoppable on offense. It's the 2 most fun offenses to watch this year so far through 13 games, Sacramento and Oklahoma City. Has anybody but me watched 5 Oklahoma City?
How about Cleveland, though? How about Cleveland?
Cleveland's fun, but they're up and down. They've had some rough games
They're
in the
coming
last
back
week
down
or
to
so.
earth, yeah.
But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is secretly the greatest player in the NBA.
He's-
Here's another stat. I got a bonus stat for you. Watch this. Bonus stat. Shai Gilgeous, here's the highest field goal percentage by a guard averaging 30 or more a game in history. Michael Jordan, 1988. Michael Jordan, 1989. Michael Jordan, 1991. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander so far this season. 53.9% from the floor. He's averaging 31.5 a game. Guy's unstoppable.
SGA.
That trade, tell me I'm wrong, Amin Al-Hassan. That is the worst trade in the last 5 years in the NBA. Here's the trade to refresh your memories. The Clippers got Paul George, an excellent basketball player. The Thunder got Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a 2021 first-round pick who became Trey Mann, a 2022 first-round pick who became Jalen Williams, a 2023 first-round pick via your Miami Heat, a 2023 first-round pick swap, a 2024 first-round draft pick, a 2025 first-round pick swap, and a 2026 first-round pick. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now is better than Paul George by himself, and they got every single pick the Clippers and Heat and everybody else had for the next 5 years.
The crazy thing is, and he probably won't be a Thunder by the end of his contract. That's my favorite part, that they're probably going to trade him.
They shouldn't. He's so good.
He's so good, but you can get like 8 million draft picks for him and do it all over again.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
Right.
just keep this thing going. A boat's a boat, but the mystery box can be anything.
When do they decide to start winning though? Is it if not now, next year? Why aren't they trying to win? I mean,
Why? Win what?
Games, basketball games,
Like
Into the
build a
playoffs?
roster, build a team, become better.
What they are right now is, I believe, to be a mirage. They're not going to continue to do this. They're going to come back down to earth, much like the Utah Jazz. Surprise, surprise, come back down to earth. The Cleveland Cavaliers, a little bit, come back down to earth. This thing it all levels itself out. Oklahoma City's got San Antonio. Remember what you guys saying? This is the best coaching job Pop has ever done. Guess where they're at now? Down to earth.
That wasn't us.
To be fair,
They'll be back.
Stugotz says that after
year.
every few games
That
they
was
play
not
every
us.
year.
It's
Name is
just,
Spur, I dare ya.
Stugotz. But the Kings, no objection to what he's saying. I've seen the Kings play some fun basketball games against Golden State. They're always seeming to be in the 130s, and they've gotten some players in Sabonis and they've gotten some veteran guys that know how to play. Yeah, Sacramento's fun now.
They've won 4 out of the last 6 games, and the 2 games they lost was a game against Miami where Tyler Hero did the cha-cha-cha and hit a 3, and the game against Golden State where Klay Thompson clearly fouled the shit out of Kevin Huerter.
But they are a fun team to watch.
Yes,
the only team averaging more points is Mike Celtics, actually. That's it.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch, and they're also Sacramento, so something's going to happen.
Yeah, they're second in offense and like 26th in defense, so kind of the perfect watch.
But Mike Schur is sitting here binging Thunder and Kings games because you're enjoying the aesthetic of the basketball. It's impossibly wonderful offensive basketball.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch those teams. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is unguardable. If you should really watch, you should take the time and watch one game. He's essentially, he's like a cross between Ja Morant and Chris Paul. Like, he's processing the game at this incredibly high level and is the like slitheriest guy in the league. Like he is Ja Morant because he's got all these tiny little shoulder fakes and just hesitation moves and stuff, and he just gets to the rim. That's why he's shooting 54% from the field. He just gets to the rim effortlessly and then finishes incredibly well in the same way that when Ja does it, you're like, how did you get that ball up over 3 guys who are taller than you?
Mike, we've been talking in the back while we're impressed with your basketball knowledge. Where do you find the time? How do you have so much time on your hands to join this every day and watch so much sports?
I mean,
you're very busy and important, we assume.
That's your first mistake. But also, I am working from home these days. And so basically what I do is I work at home in my office and I just put, I need sound to distract me. So I will watch, when it's baseball season, I will always have baseball on starting at 4 p.m., which is when baseball starts out here. And same with basketball. So I just put the NBA, I put TNT on when there's a doubleheader and I just have it on in the background. And then I work, and then when I hear something interesting has happened, I can turn and watch the game.
Oh, but it's not
I'm
just
sort of
that.
absorbing it.
Okay, but just so that people understand how some of this insanity works with this person, you understand that as you're absorbing all of this as surround sound, he cares about it in a way that's totally unreasonable, all of it. And when he discovers someone like Trey Mann, and you're like, oh shit, that dude's faster than everybody. And what is that? Like, how is he able to play that quickly and around the rim? And that's fun to watch. Like, it's still a child's discovery for you, is it not? Like, you care about it that way.
No, I do. And like when I watched the Oklahoma City play the Celtics the other day and was like, good Lord, what has gotten into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? And then that sends me down a rabbit hole. And then I look up his stats and I'm like, wait, he was in that Paul George trade. And I look up what that Paul George trade was and see that the Oklahoma City just robbed the Clippers blind for Paul George, who's obviously great, but it averages about 42 games a year playing for the Clippers. And that team isn't going anywhere because Kawhi's injuries. And then I just like gather all this information. And then I think to myself, oh, right, I've been conscripted against my will to do a stat of the day for Metal Lark Media every single day. So I type all of it into a document.
Right.
And then I wake up early at 6:15 in the morning and go downstairs and quickly have a bowl of cereal and a cup of coffee so I can log on to a Zoom and listen to you not be able to process how Jess was sexually harassed at the Delta Lounge.
I don't need
That's
you
my
white
day.
knighting either, Mike Schur.
What did I do? I'm coming. All I'm saying is you work with a bunch of dopes.
I'm coming to your rescue.
Yes, yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Not the word
Also, on the subject of policing idioms, why are people robbed blind? Why is that the definition? What are the origins of being
They've
robbed
taken
blind?
everything from you,
Including my
including
vision.
including your sight.
Oh, yeah. It's a bad day. Yeah.
That's a thief Stugotz can admire right there. I can steal
Thorough.
more.
I left the site.
To be fair to the Clippers, on paper they traded that for Paul George, but that was the stipulation to get Kawhi Leonard. So that was for them. That's how they justified it. So we're not.
Oh, but it is interesting in retrospect to now look the way that he presents it. Oh no, look, Ballmer just traded everything for I'm going to be a player in Los Angeles right now and build media around it, and Kawhi's not going to play very much, and we're going to trade our entire future, but it's so that Ballmer can make all the other owners hate him because he got into the game and shortcutted his way to the front of the line, because now Ballmer's making a ton of money on all the streaming. Ballmer is turning this into a profitable and smart business as well, correct?
I don't know if it's profitable yet, but that's where the business is going. He's being forward thinking. He's going cutting edge.
But he's just had TV programming to try and matter in Los Angeles against LeBron, and it doesn't even matter if Kawhi and Paul George play. That's what he was trading for.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Obviously, he's getting a building built, but he's paying for it out of pocket, and he paid Madison Square Garden for the Forum just to make the lawsuit go away, which is still insane to me that you have so much money you can overpay for a dilapidated property just to make a lawsuit go. It's what he's doing is he's leveraging the real extreme wealth that he has. When people talk about leveling the playing field, talk about salary caps and stuff like that, but that's not really, the luxury tax is one thing. What Ballmer's doing is he's able to finance things that most owners can't. He is the richest owner in the NBA. If you add up the next 15 owners, they are still worth less than him by himself.
And they all hate him as a result.
Yes, because he can do things like say, I don't need a TV deal. We're going to do everything streaming, and we're going to have 3 different streams. And one of them is the nerd stream, and one of them is the ex-Clippers stream, and one of them is just the game. An arena, I'm going to revitalize downtown Inglewood, right? Even though SoFi is right there, it's like, no, we're going to do something. We're going to build a facility that's way better than Staples, which at this point is outdated. It's everything he's doing is saying, what can't the rules govern me on? All right, I'm going to spend the shit out of money over there.
You mean crypto.com, by the way. That's a fine.
Oh,
that's super interesting, though, that's the trade that Oklahoma City made, that they took, and it's what Ainge is trying to build with as A-Rod tries to be Ballmer in Minnesota.
Yeah, and I'm curious with the future because the Lakers are sort of staring into the abyss of losing picks and losing games for years that they will not be able to recover from the Pelicans. Some 3 or 4 of these teams have done these leverage trades of get rid of everything, all the first-round picks, all the swaps. There are 3 or 4 teams that are in that game, and you wonder if once the ramifications come due to pay, if maybe teams will stop doing these trades because they're really bad business.
The floodgates opened when the Nets traded for Garnett and Pierce and Jason Terry and gave them everything.
No, but I thought that was a cautionary tale though, because it worked out so badly for them.
It's a cautionary tale.
I think PG was the first one, sort of in the new era, the post KG one.
I'm telling you, that was the one. It's like when I have to trade my star player. It used to be I need 2 picks, I need 3 picks, I need whatever picks. That was the first one to say, I want everything. So you can't trade back-to-back picks. In those years, you can't give me that pick. I want a pick swap for the 5-year span. And that one was the first ship that sailed, that now that's the going price. You want my all-star? I want everything from you. And
wasn't the other problem that the Oklahoma City can have all the picks they want, but if players don't stay in Oklahoma City, don't ever want to actually play their careers there, they always want to go to Los Angeles, that what Ballmer is thinking and the Lakers are thinking is who cares if we give up the picks? The players will band together and then move en masse to our team because we have the best stadium and the best city and the most fun. They want to wear purple and gold or something. They don't want to wear Oklahoma
But
City.
beyond
is
that,
Oklahoma City.
aren't the Thunder, like the Thunder, what they've done is they parlayed Harden, Westbrook, Durant into this, that will keep making players who we will then let go because they won't stay here, of course.
They're
but we'll
the
have
Tampa Bay Rays.
But
Yeah,
we'll have so
they're the
many
Tampa Bay
draft.
Rays.
We'll have so many draft picks that that's fine. That's how we'll do business the next 20
The funny
years.
thing is that the Thunder completely whiffed on the value of both Durant and Harden. The Harden trade was bad.
No, well, the Harden trade at the time, that was the best they were going to get.
Right, but I mean, because Harden hadn't proved himself
Right.
as this. But in retrospect, they got nothing for James Harden, and they got literally nothing for Kevin Durant because he left as a free
Yeah.
agent. They didn't really get much for Russell Westbrook, although I guess they
got way more than they should have.
Right. Well, I mean, Chris Paul has turned into even more for them, but really the asset that they turned into a lot was Paul George.
But I mean, like that's the game. All of these deals, by the way, include names that you forgot. Like Kemba Walker was an Oklahoma City Thunder, and Al Horford was an Oklahoma City Thunder, and there are all these little names that they're just acquired to get moved down the line for something else, for more picks, for more capital.
But people argue that, like, from a front office standpoint, it's sort of the easiest thing to do. You never actually have the expectation of winning, and as long as the owner is bought in, Sam Pressing can just keep doing this without the expectation of winning for 4 or 5 years.
Well, the idea is that you're going to hit, right? The idea isn't that like we're not trying to win. The idea is that I need a transcendent player. I can't sign them because no one wants to sign here, and trading for them is hard because no one wants to stay here, because especially if we're bad. So the only thing I have are these picks. But when they do the analysis throughout the years, it turns out, guess what? For all the intel, for all the stats, for all the measurements, it's still a crapshoot. Nobody knows anything. You don't know whether the guy like gives a shit about this or is he just saying all the right things in an interview. So the only way you can guarantee yourself, and I use the term guarantee very lightly, is just to get 100 cracks at it. Right? Instead of saying, I got one good swing at this piñata, and when I hit it, it's going to explode with candy and goodness. It's like, no, let me swing at the piñata over and over and over and over again. And that's what they're doing. They're going to start winning at some point.
I do enjoy seeing Moneyball morph into that all of the evolutions of all of the analytics now morph into, with this draft thing that is unscientific, you know how I'm just going to increase the probabilities? I'm just going to pollute the pool with picks. I'm going to take the embarrassment of I've got to lose all of my players in Westbrooks, and I'm going to keep losing players, but I'm going to get Danny Ainge number of picks.
By the way, as you mourn Westbrook, Durant, and Harden's departure from Oklahoma City, guess how they got there? Guess how they got there? Before you talk about how they left, how they got there. He had Ray Allen, he had Rashard Lewis, he had like a 47-win team, and he said, get rid of them all. We're going to be awful. And then they got Durant, and they were still awful because Durant wasn't good enough at that point to lift that. And so then they got Russell Westbrook the next year, and then the year after that, they got James Harden back to back.
That's how
drafts.
you do it for 30 years if you're that family against the Ballmers of the world, correct?
If you're in that market, in that kind of market, it's just hard to say we're gonna go out there and sign somebody. Your free agency game begins when you're elite. You can't go from mediocre or bad and turn your life around. Like the Lakers were bad and they signed LeBron James. And like they can do that. They can do that because they're LA. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy because you still have to convince him versus all the other places. And it's not the be all end all. They still have to do other things. We talk about that Anthony Davis deal, but at the end of the day, they're like, we want a championship. So I'll give you all the picks for one more title that ties us with Boston for the most in league history. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Mike, we wanted to let you go here because we take too much of your time every day. But I didn't want to let you go without asking you about how this has escalated between Jaylen Brown, vice president of the Players Union, and Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, because this quote, and man, it was surgical, I thought. I mean, as the players and owners bump against each other, and as we now have in the culture wars, we have a predominantly black league that was very strong about progressive social causes being a bit quiet on Kyrie Irving, and you're hearing a lot more voices in media and in basketball coming out, LeBron included, saying, hey, let's stand down on Kyrie. He apologized enough already. Let's stand down. As Joe Tsai says, no, more contrition, louder. And we haven't actually heard contrition from Kyrie Irving. We saw an Instagram post and then silence. And now coming to his side is Jaylen Brown as leader of that union. And this is the quote, Amin. And I thought it was a surgeon's slice. Takes 10 minutes to see who the business owners, corporations, who they're associated with. And what he's referencing there is Joe Tsai's affiliation with some of the atrocities going on in China with the Uyghurs and religious persecution. And it didn't say China, didn't do the things that make this complicated with business where even LeBron doesn't enter in those waters. I was curious what you made, Mike, of Jaylen Brown and the quote now as they rally a little bit around Kyrie Irving, who posted something that was anti-Semitic and then was flippant in the way that he handled the press conference afterward. And he's been beaten down and apologized and given money. And Jaylen Brown, on behalf of the Players Union, is standing up like Stephen A. Smith did and saying, black people are going to rally around Kyrie Irving. He doesn't have to keep apologizing.
Well, there's a 1,000 angles on this. The first thing is, if you're the head of the Players Union or the vice president of the Players Union, your job is to protect the players and the Players Union first and foremost. That's what he's doing. That is his goal, is to protect the players. So I understand where he's coming from with that. More importantly, I think here's the problem with all of this stuff, right? It all ends up being whataboutism. It all ends up being, you have a problem with what this guy did? Well, what about the thing that you did? Well, look over there. Look at that thing that's going on. And we get further and further and further away when we have these discussions sometimes from just the thing that happened, which is that Kyrie Irving posted a link to a movie that has a bunch of Nazi shit in it and is anti-Semitic. And then when a person says, like Joe Tsai says, this I think is bad and you shouldn't do it, then someone says, well, yeah, Joe Tsai, look at what you're doing with China and the Uyghur Muslims. And then someone else can come out and say, oh, you want to talk, Jaylen Brown. You have a deal with Adidas, and look what Adidas did, or whatever. Like that's when this stuff falls apart. When no one has a true moral leg to stand on because nobody's perfect and everybody is compromised when you're part of a system, when you have economic interest in various places. And so everyone can just say, oh yeah, you think you're so perfect, look at what you're doing in that totally unrelated thing over there. And we get further and further and further away from just the fact of what happened. Now, in my mind, how do you get out of this? I think you get out of it by stopping the grandstanding in front of the press. If you're Joe Tsai, don't come out and say, I have 11 things that he has to do in order to get back in the league. That doesn't help anybody. And if you co-own Alibaba and you have business interests in China, we've all seen what business interests in China do to people in the league when you talk about them in any direction. Just be quiet. Stop talking. If you want to give a statement about Kyrie Irving, Joe Tsai, say we support the idea that Kyrie can come back and be a productive member of our team, and we're going to handle all this internally. End of story. Because when you come out and you kind of say like, he needs to do this and he needs to do that, and there's 11 things that he has to do, then you are opening yourself up to the guy who works in the Players Union saying like, hey man, why don't you check your own house? And that doesn't help anybody. It's not that it's not true. It is. Of course it's true. But when we get into these battles where statement is made, everybody's weighing in different arenas, then we're just getting further and further and further away from the initial problem, which is simply Kyrie Irving did something thoughtless and cruel, and he posted a video that is unquestionably anti-Semitic and full of Nazi tropes. That's the only thing we should be talking about. And now we're talking about Alibaba's economic interests in China.
It is. It is how this ends up happening, but it's what's happening. And I don't know how it is that the owner controls his ego in that spot. I mean, because you know that these guys, you know the people who own these franchises, what a mess. This man looks like an epic failure as a businessman because of what a clown show he's presiding over there where they can't do anything correctly. And now he's going to show everybody he's in charge by making Kyrie Irving do the 11 things.
So this is the weird part. You know, like Mike said when we first started talking, there's so many angles to this, right? The weird thing to me is I'm wondering, is this Joe Tsai in his mind? Is he taking a stand against anti-Semitism? Or is he taking a stand against the idea that he doesn't have control of his franchise? Which is what we've been saying about the Nets for 3 years now. It's like they do whatever they want, and and you guys are you just have to sit there and take it because you lay that table. And we know that Joe Tsai is not fond of Kyrie. Going back to this last summer, he was just like, get rid of him. So I think part of this is just kind of trying to lay down the hammer and say, I'm in control, I'm in charge. And you know what? He won't get to do anything until I say it's okay. What's the latest statement he had? Was something like, yeah, I sat to him, we had a very productive talk. I still don't know if he's contrite, though. These are things, like Mike said, that have no place in a press release or in a conversation with the media. This is all stuff that should be handled internally, and they're not. And I think that part of that is because you're trying to demonstrate, I'm in charge, I'm in power. So when Jaylen Brown comes back with this, part of it is whataboutism, Mike, but part of it also is the subtle kind of undercurrent is also, we're not going to get pushed around by this guy. We're not going to allow this dude to basically flex his muscle and make Kyrie cower and shame.
Let me ask you guys culturally about what is happening at an important, like a pivotal time in Adam Silver's leadership as he has to go and meet with Kyrie, and you're seeing the fairly amazing controversy of Adam Silver coming out and thinking it means anything, that he's saying, I don't think he's anti-Semitic. Okay, thanks, Adam. Like you get to decide that for all of us. You've got a scandal in your lap that's a mess, and pit sides against each other, as Mike has told us, I mean, is a white supremacist's wet dream here. Make everybody fight here. This was the progressive league at the start of the bubble where they're not sure whether they should be playing because of what's happening with George Floyd, and Kyrie saying, should we be there? And in the next 3 years since then, look at everything that has happened with the leadership of that franchise as owners fights players. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about leadership in sports all the time, I mean, you're an organizational guy. Who's leading the Nets? And this is a fight for who leads here, because Kyrie told us that the coach and owner were there to be his allies, that the Nets didn't need a coach, that Kyrie and Durant were in charge of the Nets.
This is the table that the Nets set 3 years ago, 2019. When you do that, when you have these guys come in and they're playing for a coach who helped pull this organization out of the muck of that terrible Paul Pierce deal that we talked about earlier, right? Kenny Atkinson did a great job, and the Nets were scrappy, and they had, they finally were a 500 team, and are going to the playoffs and stuff like that. And say, oh, great, now we added these two guys. And it's like, yeah, we didn't come here to get coached, though. Like, this dude is coaching way too hard. We want to do it our way. And so you tell Kenny Atkinson, hit the bricks.
And that's where it starts.
It starts because at every stop, they said yes. Whatever you want, yes. Compare and contrast to when LeBron and Chris Bosh came here. And the team starts 9-8. And LeBron goes to Pat Riley and says, don't you ever get the itch? In that moment, that's the difference. You want to do the divergent paths? In that moment, in Miami, in Brooklyn, it was like, well, yeah, I mean, we could do something. It doesn't matter. And in Miami, the answer was, I never get the itch. And Eric Spoelstra goes from, in almost any other organization, fired, to now one of the 15 greatest coaches to ever coach the game. Think about that.
It can happen that quickly.
But that's when you ask about organizationally, that's where it happens.
17 games in.
When we have those moments.
Mike, thank you. I know we've kept you way too long. There are kids waiting to be taken to school. He's got things to do. I'm sorry we kept you that long. I thought you'd have more thoughts here, but Amin hijacked us.
I did. It's just Amin kept talking, wouldn't stop.
See you later, Mike. I mean, your Liam Neeson has gotten very sharp. Have you been practicing it?
Yes and no. We did an episode on.
I gave you the opening there.
Oh,
too.
No. You've gone too far. No.
Pay cut. No. That's gone too far.
It's gone too far.
No. That's gone too far.
No. We did this movie called Honest Thief, in which he plays an honest thief. Really not that honest. And it's so ridiculous, but it's like the Liam Neeson movie, right? Like,
No.
stakes have been raised because someone hurt him or someone he cares about.
Someone has been taken.
And now he's got to... Yeah,
he's been doing that for 10 or 15 years. He's an action hero, somehow in his 50s and 60s. I think he was a school teacher. It's a great grift.
No.
It is. Don't argue with me. It is.
No.
There's no disputing that.
No.
Okay.
The bass on that, man.
I know. It's perfect.
Roy, you could probably do this voice.
You can.
No.
He's wearing a lav mic and he sounds like he's in a studio. It's ridiculous.
No.
Roy, you sound demonic. You're beyond where Amin and Liam Neeson can go with the voice.
No.
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 Amin's got it.
No.
Amin has mastered
No.
the.
No.
No.
Amin's is a little
That's
smoky.
gone too far.
Well, he smokes, so yeah.
That's,
Whoa.
Do you smoke?
what?
Great question.
Roy, you are just returning now from a Chris Cody trip. You and he went to Canada, and I don't know what is going to be at the end of this hour. I've been told, and this is a primo spot here. We usually don't give show spaces away. I've been told that you and Chris Cody are returning with content from Canada. You flew there, Meadowlark Media paid to send you there, and you're coming back with content. What is the content that is going to be produced at the end of this hour?
Yeah, so Chris Cody and I went up to Toronto to cover the Hockey Hall of Fame. Roberto Luongo for the Florida Panthers. He was inducted on Monday.
Is he the first Panther?
He is technically, yes, he's the first Panther. Even though
That's gone too far.
Pavel Bure's in the Hall of Fame. He played for the Panthers, so whatever.
Well,
But
we went up there because this was a historic moment. You care about hockey. We're going to cover sports things. Tony and Juju and Lewis went to a UFC,
Mecca, Dan.
a UFC fight in New York, and you're coming back with 5 and
MSG.
10 minutes of gold. What are we going to hear at the end of this hour?
You are going to hear an interview that me, Chris, and David Dwork from Local 10 did with Phil Pritchard. He is the keeper of the cup. He handles the Stanley Cup.
What a gig.
Great gig. Through all the major events and throughout the days where the Stanley Cup champion players end up having a day with the cup, he's there. So we had an interview
witness
with him.
to all the debauchery that has been
So
participated
security.
with.
You went to interview somebody who was security.
Oh,
No,
he's not just-
It's the floppy hair guy, Dan.
He's not just a keeper of the cup. He's the keeper of anecdotes.
Gone too far, Dan.
He wears white gloves, Dan. White gloves.
Does he
all
tell
the time?
you? Does he tell you the good stories? Is he giving up the stories in this interview of the defiling that people have done to that cup?
Listen and find out.
Listen and find out because we asked him.
Okay, so that is a what? I mean,
I do they travel it with the bag over it
It's in a case.
in the case?
Yes, it's in a case.
I always think it's funny every time I go to a finals game in the NBA and they bring out the trophy and they've got the bag over it like it's a bird that's gonna get freaked out by all the people around. Like, relax.
I drank a Natty Light out of the Stanley Cup once.
Whoa!
what do you mean? How do you drink? You poured it in and
Yeah, someone poured it in the Stanley Cup at a Notre Dame tailgate, and I drank out of it.
That was during the Blackhawks Cup run.
Actually, the Penguins. There were 2 Notre
I wanna
Dame
hear about
former
this.
hockey players.
Did it come with a penicillin shot or did you have to go get that
I
on your
was
own
worried
later?
for a few days, like what disease I might get.
Well, I mean, it is honestly embarrassing to me as a show that Billy Gill is talking about the 3 different kinds of clothes that he would wear to scrub down his grocery bag. And here's Jessica tailgating, drinking Natty Lights out of the foulest cup that there's been since like the Stone Ages.
It's fair. Yeah, it's definitely.
I mean, but it was pre-COVID, right?
It was like 2016 or 2017. And the reason that I ended up in this position was because I was at this tailgate and all of a sudden I saw the black case appear.
Right.
And the black Stanley Cup case is unmistakable. It's massive. It's like something that you'd carry like band gear around with.
Yeah.
And I saw it at the tailgate and I was like, that's the Stanley Cup case. And I had been.
You recognized
I
it.
recognized the case immediately because I had been on Stanley Cup watch in my local news internship in Chicago the year before when the Blackhawks won.
Right.
And I'd never gotten close to it because we were on this elusive cup hunt. And every time we'd show up somewhere, the cup would have just left. So I knew what I was looking for. And I was like, oh, it's the black Stanley Cup case. So I positioned myself in a way where I was like right next to who I determined to be the people kind of taking charge of it. So I ended up in first in line to drink the Natty Light out of the cup.
Are you filing this under investigative journalism?
Yes.
Now, wait a minute. Amin Al-Hassan is showing me what is the sign that you're making while being photographed with the cup?
That's I'm here with the cup.
You're pointing at the cup with two fingers, with your pinky finger and your index finger.
Yeah.
It was a total coincidence, though. Like, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. After I thought the cup had evaded me the whole year, I found it at a Notre Dame tailgate and drank a Natty Light out of it.
I want more about this story.
By the way, no, I'm sorry, not to cut you off. You know what the grossest part about Jessica's story is? She drank Natty Light.
Oh, come on. What are you doing there?
Indiana.
It's a tailgate, brother.
No.
It's a tailgate.
It's a
Come on,
tailgate.
get
You
right.
can get some Miller Lite in there.
It's a tailgate in
Get
Indiana.
The Miller Lite is from the Midwest. It's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it tastes great, and it's less filling, only 96 calories. The fact that she would drink Natty
You're
Light.
right about this.
Yeah.
You're
Come on, guys.
You are totally correct, but it's what makes the story even dirtier.
Yeah, that's true.
She was having this. It's Natty Light. Pabst Blue Ribbon. I don't know. There are a few dirty beers.
Rolling Rock? Is that a dirty
few
beer?
dirty beers to be like the cup is dirty enough, and then there's the dirty beer.
What are the dirty beers?
Keystone Light.
Keystone Light is a dirty beer.
I have a lot of beer
Dirty ass
experiences
beer.
with dirty beers.
It's cheaper. You know you're cheaper. You're not as good as the other beers. You're not even trying hard enough, but it's dirty to drink it out of the cup. The part that I'm not understanding though is why were you a second late to everywhere the cup was? Were you in pursuit of the cup and it was mysteriously evading you? Because you could have made a call as a reporter and just tracked down and cornered the person Roy did.
You're not wrong. This was local news reporting at its peak, Dan. It was like, oh, we have to go get a shot of the cup for our B-roll for our night 5 o'clock news show. The cup was last seen at Wrigley Field. Let's see if we can get close to Wrigley Field and get a shot of it on our camera. And so I'd be driving the news truck and the photographer would run out and try to get a video of it. And I was sitting in the news truck like, what the hell? I want to see the Stanley Cup. But I'm just a lowly news intern who's not getting paid.
Is this the before or after when you're being a terrible hockey television camera person?
Around the same time. Yeah.
All right, so you laugh at her, but she's hustling her way up like the bowels of journalism, like filming shitty things and trying to get near the cup.
By the way, she talked about it yesterday. Those cameras are huge. I in my mind, I imagine Jess to turn the camera. She would just like run and then hang off and just swing.
Because they're heavy, right? Those cameras are super
like a pirate on a ship trying to change the mast,
But I still don't understand why you couldn't get to the cup and then you look up and it's like some religious artifact has arrived next to you and your decision is I'm going to drink dirty beer out of it.
That is 100% correct. It was remarkable. After all those years of the cup evading me, it was like, oh, it's at our local news station on this day, but I wasn't at work that day. I just missed it. Like that kind of shit kept happening.
You never succeeded journalistically
never.
in getting near the cup.
Never. Not even close.
So Roy has secured an interview that you've wanted all your life.
Roy works for Meadowlark Media and the Dan LeBatard Show. That surpasses the local news station that I was interning for by several degrees.
Shows you're not an intern, dude.
All right, so we will hear that in moments, and I'm hoping that someone is getting Whittingham's popcorn business review off the ground, because I believe that you can be an international and national popcorn eater and critic.
I have strong opinions of all of the local sports teams' ability to serve popcorn. Sneaky good. Sneaky number one in South Florida is University of Miami basketball. which is surprising because I went to a Canes women's basketball game. Weren't a ton of people there, but I was happy to be there. And I was surprised that they were making popcorn. They actually put kernels into the machine and then popped the popcorn there. Most people, and I've done some journalism about popcorn because you get into media areas and you see the people walking through the bowels of the stadium with a garbage bag that is filled with popcorn, popcorn that they packed 3 hours ago, and they're pouring it into a thing. And so you have pretty stale, pretty not warm popcorn. And so for them, like most in-arena popcorn is bad. I don't mean because we have a good relationship with them, and I don't want to ruin it.
Your mouth is watering right now.
Yeah,
There's spit everywhere.
He's talking so fast.
I love popcorn. The Miami Marlins, especially in the post-COVID period, the immediately post, they serve like a bag. I'm doing a visual thing. Check it out, youtube.com/LeBatard and friends. Like maybe this big for $8. It was old and stale. It was not good. So I have defined critical takes of all the South Florida sports teams.
I can't even imagine buying popcorn at a sporting event now.
It's ludicrous.
It's just
$8 for not a lot of popcorn.
The cheapest shit. By the way, not a lot of popcorn, and it was popped like 2 days ago. It's super stale, just awful stuff. Now get it for free. I'll get some at halftime or whatever. But
why did Obama just get free popcorn?
No,
because Mitch McConnell doesn't want you to have popcorn.
You've gone too far.
No.
I mean, you had a question that I had not considered. I think the last time you were here, I don't know if this conversation broke out around you, but very quietly on satellite radio, I think 40s on 4, 50s on 5, 60s on 6. They went somewhere else because the demographic is dying.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about when music becomes oldies. And what I think of as oldies when I am now watching the television commercials that appear with Jimmy J.J. Walker or people like that from your childhood who are talking to other old people.
Right.
They're on television to tell you, hey, I'm old. You remember back when we were young? I'm here to sell you something that
life
you
insurance.
need because
Term life
you're
insurance.
old. I don't know if oldies music for me is going to be the same as oldies music for Tony, for you, for Roy, depending on where I am in the generation.
So this is the genesis of this. Then, if I told you, hey, I'm putting on this oldies station, name a song that you think would play on it.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
You heard oldies. What kind of music?
Yeah, Beatles, Rolling Stones,
Right.
Led Zeppelin.
Or, like for me, I think about Motown, like the Temptations or whatever.
My
Tops.
Girl.
Yeah.
Jess, what would the oldies song be when you turn on that station?
Honestly, I feel like anything like Nirvana or around that area right now.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. I was at a bar and they were playing Biggie, Hypnotize. And I'm like, that song is 26 years old. Does that make it oldies? Because I'm thinking about when I was 21 or 22, something that was 26 years old would have been something from the set. It would have been disco. And so of course that's oldies. It's such an old ass sound. But I hear Hypnotize, like, yeah, that could come out today. Like that is a current song, right? But I'm thinking if you're young, like if you're Jess's age bracket, that probably sounds like some ancient music, some old people music.
Well, that song in particular, I think, has stood the test of time. Like young people know that song. The movie came out like when I was in high school, so everyone kind of knows that. But yeah, I think just age-wise, it is probably classified as an oldie now.
We were talking about Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way yesterday in the break room. Is that an oldies song?
Yeah. I think it kind of. So I looked up like the top hits from 1999.
Okay.
Because like that's the last year of the 90s. I think you probably could say anything in the 21st century is
not oldies.
Not yet
Not
an
yet.
oldie.
Okay.
But give it 8 more years and it will be.
90s music.
Give me 99.
All 90s music to you is oldies, all genres.
Well, that's what I'm debating right now because 1999 was the start of certain young stars' careers like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. And I don't know necessarily if they're oldies yet, but it was also the end of a lot of 80s stars' careers. So there's an interesting overlap in the 90s. So the top song was a Schur song. I think anything.
Was it? Do you believe in love?
It was.
Alive?
Classic.
It was.
That's
Believe.
a classic.
So I pulled up the charts from exactly Biggie's Hypnotize.
Yeah.
The number one song around that time was Bop by Hanson.
Is that
I
Oldies?
think that's an
Definitely
oldie song.
an oldie. Are we doing the
Bop,
battle of the charts now?
Bop, doo,
A
wop.
chart off?
Shibby-dop-ba-doo, wop. Bop-ba-doo, yeah.
That's an oldie. Okay.
That's an oldie. Okay,
I think it is. You asked me the question, what song gives off oldie? For me, I think of ZZ Top's Sharp Dressed Man. That's the first song that pops in my head.
I've never even heard of that
Yeah,
song.
it's a song from 1983.
Yeah.
But I remember, so we used to work in the radio building at 790, and across the hall was the oldie station, Magic 102.7.
Is that the
When I-
Duck Dynasty theme song?
102.7.
I do know that song.
So across the hall was that station, and when I started there, it was a 60s, 70s oldie station. And I remember somewhere around 2013, 2014, they flipped to a 70s, 80s oldie station. So the 60s were no longer on the radio anymore. That was too old. So it graduated. So it's roughly like a 30-year cycle.
God.
So if the song is 30 to 35 years old, it's an oldies.
Oh my God.
song. So
That's
now
terrifying.
So now it's an 80s, 90s station. I don't know if they flipped because that station is now called The Beach down here in South Florida, and I don't know if they've stopped playing 70s music, but perhaps they have. It's too old.
Give me more from 99.
Believe by Cher, number one. No Scrubs, TLC.
Oh, that's an oldies? Dun-dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun-dun.
I like the segment where we name songs and Amin sings them.
There you go.
And I'm not being sarcastic. I
Yeah.
do like that, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Thanks for clarifying.
The next one, Angel of Mine by Monica.
Angel of mine.
It sounds like we're doing a commercial for a Now That's What I Call
Yes.
Music CD.
Now
and
That's
we're
What
just
I Call
playing the 8
1999.
seconds of the song that you'd recognize.
Oh, remember the KIDZ BOP versions and they took all the bad words out?
Oh God.
Who would
Bop is
ever buy KIDZ
Awful.
BOP?
Awful. Speaking of Billy's argument earlier that kids make things worse, KIDZ BOP, horrific. And I thought this when I was 9 years old. I was like, why would anyone ever want to listen to the sort of sanded down version of pop songs?
I think
Please.
what's worse is when it's not even like a filthy song. Like it's
Yes.
already a clean song. Why do I need a kid singing it?
Right. No, the worst is when they put a filthy song on and they water it the fuck down. It's just like, this isn't even the same thing anymore.
I like big boats and I cannot lie.
Exactly.
You other sailors can't deny. Wait, give me more.
Heartbreak Hotel, number 4. Whitney Houston.
Oh, Whitney Houston. Heartbreak Hotel with that. Heartbreak.
I really
Number-
want this to stop.
Number
No.
5, I think, is where you have to wonder, is this an oldie yet? It might be. Baby One More Time by Britney Spears.
Hit me, baby, one more time. Which I learned yesterday. Was it you or was it Fuentes that was telling me this? That the reason why the lyrics don't make sense is because the guy who wrote it was a Swedish guy.
I saw this on TikTok this morning.
Didn't speak English or didn't speak English well, so he was just trying to write stuff that he thought like sounded right in English. He's also the guy that wrote "I Want It That Way." That's why the lyrics don't make any sense. If you read the lyrics, it's
I
like,
knew it.
"You are my fire, my one desire. Believe when I say I want it that way."
It sounds like Google Translate music writing.
If someone here can do a Swedish accent and just read it out loud, it makes all the sense in the world.
You can't be serious that you guys are describing the discovery in the last couple of days that hit songs lyrics make no sense whatsoever because a computer in Sweden was trying to translate English words that dumb people like.
Hit me, baby, one more time was supposed to be like hit me up. But because he didn't speak English, he's like, hit me, baby. Which, of course, when you say hit me, baby, I'm like, why is she asking to get punched in the face? She's not. She's just singing the words of an illiterate man when it comes to English.
I looked up the worst KIDZ BOP songs ever to be made into KIDZ BOP songs.
Oh, give it to me.
There's some doozies on here.
What do you got?
Drake, God's Plan was made into a KIDZ BOP
I've seen the
song.
video for that. Little
Got
shit-eating grin on
Nicki
that kid.
Minaj Starships. Instead of saying we're higher than a mother bleeper, they sing we are KIDZ BOP and we're taking over.
We're KIDZ BOP and we're taking over. Right.
And then Cardi B, J Balvin, and Bad Bunny, I like it.
Oh,
Instead
banger.
of where's my pen, bitch? I'm singing for Where's My Pen? Yeah, I'm singing. And told that bitch I'm sorry, though, for told that kid I'm sorry, though. It just like totally changed. There's so many Drake songs. Like, why not just not do the Drake songs?
When is Drake gonna be oldies? Like you guys are very close here to saying
He's still
some
making
things.
music, though.
No, that's
But
the
the
thing.
originals, though.
But that's what extends you out of oldies. If you continue to make music, your music isn't an
Like
oldie.
Elton John. Elton John's
Yep.
got some hit singles now because
Whoa.
he's realized he can like use his old samples, pair himself up with like Dua Lipa, and now
It's
he's not
insane.
like I consider most of his discography to be oldies, but he's also like still really relevant. So I'm not like, oh, like Elton John.
Elton
what the hell
John,
is that guy up to?
Elton John,
Stugotz it.
but Elton John is not oldies anymore. But Billy Joel is ancient. Billy Joel is
Because
He was ancient the day he was born.
yeah, no, like Elton John Stugotz it. He said, "I want to be relevant, but I don't want to do any actual work. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take songs that I've already done, sample them, sing some parts over, and then get like someone young and hot to sing the other parts." And he's basically redoing his homework. He's not giving us any new thing.
well.
But they're still bangers, though.
They are, but like, come on, man.
I've heard people criticize. Okay, Billy Joel does Madison Square Garden still, right? Once a month.
Yes.
Once a month, he can sell it out forever. He just,
Mecca.
once a month he does a concert, and a lot of musicians judge that as, oh, you're just mailing it in for checks. You're not. Your heart isn't.
No shit. No shit. What are they talking about?
But it's also a flex. Like, it's the most famous arena in the country. You can sell it out every single night. That's such a cool flex from Billy Joel.
It's also how artists make, I think, most of their money. Because if you're streaming Billy Joel, he's getting like 1 cent on the dollar.
He's getting a fraction of a penny.
And selling tickets and touring is still
And
going to
merch.
be, and merch, yeah, is
I
still
would
going
like
to
to
be the
be-
way to make all of that back.
I'd like to be Chris Whittingham on behalf of selling out. Why is it viewed as a bad thing for Billy Joel to every night put 20,000 people in seats, sing the songs that everyone knows? If that's selling out, then I wholeheartedly endorse it.
I would say to you that what people might argue in the most moving places where music touches your soul, you want the creative artist to remain creative and to remain inspired. And even if Elton John is doing it lazy, it's modernized. It's an evolution. That Billy Joel going in and that cravenly going in for the checks. Not unlike Bruce Springsteen selling $500 million to Sony, his catalog, and saying that he's going to do plays as well, where he tells you his entire story is a lie.
The boss.
You find yourself musically selling the soul of what it is that you're doing.
But you're talking about inspiration, and there are probably people who go to those concerts that have never seen him before, that are inspired to belt out Piano Man for the first time with a crowd of people, or belt out We Didn't Start the Fire, and for them, that's inspiring.
Play the
that's
hits.
inspiration.
It's what Michael Jordan always used to say, Dan. He said, every time I went to the arena to play basketball, someone was watching me for the first time. So I played the hits, and he played them every single night. I mean, he did. That's what you do.
You can say the same about a lot of professions. Like, people can say this about journalists too, right? Like, oh, you're doing a commercial now? Well, you have, you're a sellout. You have commercial interests. And that's kind of the system that we operate in, right? But I think the sellout thing becomes an issue for artists who are like the counterculture artists, who then you see in like a Pepsi commercial or something like that. Whereas like, was Billy Joel, maybe he was counterculture. He seems to be like kind of on that line where he didn't really ever do anything too
He
controversial.
was pop culture more than counterculture.
Yeah, he wasn't like CSNY or like one of these bands playing about how much they hate like Vietnam. I don't know his whole like
Caught a
backstory.
trip on the West Coast.
But like an artist like that, or a pop musician, or someone like Ariana Grande or Backstreet Boys or whatever, like that stuff is made and manufactured to be sold and bought.
you can't sell out if you started as a sellout, right? Like, no one's ever gonna accuse Pitbull of selling out. Like his entire
What do you mean by that?
His entire aura is selling
What is that
out.
supposed to mean? Selling out to who?
a stern warning
Yeah,
from,
you see him?
from Billy in the back.
Billy just emerged.
Very
He popped
upset,
out.
yeah.
Billy just popped out. He's been silent the entire segment. As soon as you blaspheme against Pitbull, he gets infuriated.
My favorite Pitbull quote ever is, "I can't feed my kids Grammys." Yeah.
Just broke my wrist.
Yeah, we had an injury situation.
What happened?
Well, Tony was walking around holding a football, so naturally I need to try to knock it out of his hand, as you do when someone's walking around holding a football.
But he never fumbles. No.
Yeah. You did fumble.
Well, you broke my hand.
Well, you fumbled it. I was trying to get a clean swipe at the football, and I wasn't looking because if I'm looking, it's too obvious what I'm going to do. So I looked away, and then I did a quick chop, and I went to hit the
peanut
ball.
punch? It was more of a chop than a punch, but he chopped, instead of chopping the ball, which was in my right hand, what he ended up doing was chopping at my wrist with a fist.
No, we
which
did
wasn't
wrist,
great. It was
we did
kind of like
wrist to
this.
wrist, and now we both may go on the IR because it hurt like shit.
My
The ball fell though.
my brother. This is since childhood. My brother has thought it funny when someone is walking with a plate of food to just knock it out of their hands, knock it up in the air.
That's awful.
Not
No, it's
funny
straight-
for anyone.
no, it's
He
straight-
knocked books out of kids'
Sociopath
hands at school,
behavior.
didn't he?
It's straight assholery. But Billy,
Does he clean up the mess?
you being the guy who wanders around the office trying to punch out a football on Tony, who has never fumbled, is
He fumbled a moment ago.
Yeah, but you broke his wrist. I mean,
everyone was injured. That's what it takes to get Tony to fumble when he's walking through, because he's expecting you to emerge with a no-look Peanut Tillman punch. He's waiting for it.
The problem was too, Dan, that I was actually doing fake handoffs to Billy of play action pass. So the first time I did the play action pass and then I held in his hand.
You're the running back who was trying to make him fumble, Billy. You're his running back and teammate, and
I
you're
didn't
trying
know
to.
we were on the same team. It wasn't evident to me that we
when
were.
I put it in your belly and then I took it out, that's obvious that we're running an RPO.
Well, right before me estaba criticando, if I'm going to be honest
Don't
with you.
even start.
So I felt
Don't
like, you know
even
what?
start with
If he's in a place to criticar, I'm going to knock the ball out
After
of your
what you
hand.
said to me, I don't know if we could be friends.
What did I
doesn't-
say?
he doesn't care if you're on the same team.
What was he criticizing you about?
Everything
Billy?
and anything. That's what's happening around here today, around these parts. I come in, I just try to do my job, and you're eating gummy bears. You're a kid. Oh, you look fat.
Fat.
All these things. It's just what I deal with, you know? What did I say to you that was so bad?
What? I don't even know if I could say it. How hurt it made me feel. Actually, if you want me to be a little vulnerable, it made me feel hurt.
Is it what I said that I said there's a lot of new hires around here? You better figure out what you're doing? Was it that?
That's exactly what you said.
Wow.
It made me feel bad.
You want a hug?
That's
Yeah.
that's
From Billy though.
that's knocking over someone's food levels of harsh, man.
Billy.
Yeah.
Are you telling me, Billy, this is aggressive by you?
Yeah, that's
That we are in an environment now where there are 40 damn people running around here because movies are getting made and the business is growing, and you just threatened Tony with there are a lot of people here who can do your job, and then made him
I didn't
fumble?
say that. No, I didn't say there's a
Keep
lot
your
of
head
people
around
around
the
here.
Dan,
Well,
you
that's
just
all.
said that.
Yeah, you said I would never.
wow.
Also,
It's
I have no
it's
power.
ratcheting
So.
up.
I didn't, Billy.
Mean,
I just said to you that eating gummy bears in front of people was childish for me. I didn't question everyone else's employment status.
Yeah,
I
but you
didn't
were
question
judging.
his look. If anything, I said it. Look, it was the equivalent of this.
We're looking.
It was
Two
the
looks.
equivalent of this.
Pone los patines.
You know how Antonio Brown tried to leak that text from Tom Brady to make him look like a jerk, and it's like, oh, Tom Brady was really like nicely telling him get your act together. That's kind of what I was doing with Tony. Not to compare myself to the greatest of all time, but the same day I was compared to Jesus. But you know, just looking out for him.
It really backfired on Antonio Brown to send out a message of Tom Brady's that seemed of a really concerned, caring friend, meant to make Tom Brady look bad, but seemingly making Tom Brady look like he's the only one willing to speak freely and honestly to an Antonio Brown who might be surrounded by yes men. You were trying to do good work for Tony to get him to realize that we're hiring a lot of people.
Yeah, Billy, what were you doing?
Sometimes I just talk and then I figure out the motivation afterwards. You know?
Yeah.
Like just before that, we were trying to get Mike Fuentes to come up with a slogan for us
Yeah.
because Tony just wants a slogan to be "Why not us?" And I said, not a good slogan. Everybody does that. So we need to get Mike Fuentes to come up with one because now Gino Fuentes is here and there's a battle between the Fuentes brothers. So I said, you know what? Mike is the one to handle this, but if he's not, then we may be Gino men. You know what I mean? It's a Seahawks situation all
Yeah, it
over
is.
again.
It really is.
Yeah.
How's the useless sound montage today that you've been working on since 5 a.m.?
It's a you know, I'll give it a B.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Is there a star?
There's 3 stars. Well, like a star in the thing, not how many like gold stars I would give it. Derek Carr, yeah, I think we've played that already.
It seems like Russ is a star this week. I saw his press conference. That's why I'm saying.
There's a couple people, obviously Tomlin's in it. Aaron Rodgers makes an appearance. He's not always in it. There's some, you know what? We have a new entrant into the proceedings because we have a first-time head coach.
Oh, Jeff Saturday.
Oh, yes!
Well, did you guys see Pat McAfee went crazy told Bill Cowher to shut the bleep up, went after Joe Thomas, called him a puppet because McAfee is a Colts guy, and McAfee was saying Jeff Saturday went out there and made the opposing quarterback cry. Because Derek Carr broke down. McAfee is out here to be public emotional Colts supporter.
Yeah, I love it. He also played a clip of Joe Thomas on his show talking about
wanting to be an interim head coach of the Browns.
Yeah.
Can we take a step back for a second and appreciate that we're commenting on a show that was commenting on a show
that was commenting on a dude who used to be on a show.
It's really the degrees to this because we have sound from Chris Rousseau also who went crazy about this whole thing.
Canadian
Mad Dog. We will play that sound
Chris
as well.
Rousseau.
Indianapolis Colts, more like Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. Gets it.
Wow, that deserved a better fate.
I don't even get it.
Some BS.
Like
Explain the
a
joke.
cult. Because they're all protecting each other from
a cult.
Yeah, cult humor. Yeah. And the horse, Colt, with an O. Get it?
I do get it now, actually.
Let's see if we can hear Saturday's hairy torso giving sound in the middle of this.
I'm appreciative of the win, appreciative of the efforts. A lot of fun in the locker room, man. It's just good to get the job done. We don't take it for granted. We appreciate it. But we also understand it's not anything mystical.
Not easy to win in the National Football League, so we cherish each one of these as we go.
Last week was definitely a low, rock bottom-ish, for sure.
There was moments where we all played great in certain moments, but we have to do that more.
When you get in situations like these, you have to fight your way out of it. There's no other way to get out of it other than fight your way out of it.
So there's some things that I know we can do to be able to get better, and I refuse to think anything else other than that. But I also want to see some of those things start to come to life and bear some fruit, and we got to be able to do that. And it's not one fix, but there's a lot of different things that we have to be able to do better.
The reality is that we still have opportunity to answer these moments.
The only field goal attempt I think I've ever attempted in my life was my freshman year in college, and I drilled the left guard in the back of the head.
It's one thing to believe you can do it, and then it's another thing to do it.
Things that need to get fixed need to get fixed.
I'm not going to blink on that.
Or any extra motion because it's Mike on the other sideline, get to beat him and get that chance to play against him.
I don't think Mike suited up tonight. Got to check the stats here, Tom. He didn't.
We had opportunities early in the past game. I just wasn't good enough.
Good to get a win.
I'm being honest when I say that I don't read anything.
His grit, his toughness, how physical he can be, how strong he is. That's what makes him a special player.
Everybody needs to look at themselves and say, what can I do better? And if we do that, we'll get this thing turned around.
I knew what my role was, and I was going to execute my role to the best of my ability, and I was going to allow all of those men to do the same.
You have to be able to overcome adversities, and that can come in many forms, like I said. And when you do that, you'll see it. You'll be like, okay, there it is.
I can't speak for everybody, for every man, what's going on in their head, but I can tell you what's going on in my head, and I'm going to give it all that I can every single time.
It's been tough. It's been tough, but we're not going to give up. That's for sure.
I'm just pissed off about some of the things that a lot of us try and do just to practice.
In football, you got to weather some storms.
What we put our bodies through just to sleep at night.
It's still a long season, and we have to control what we can.
And for that to be the result of all that effort pisses me off. Pisses a lot of guys off.
A lot of the battles that we face are between I and I. Between the person that can go out there and dominate and knows that they can, and the little voice in your head that tries to knock you off of that confident perch you're on. So happy that I knocked that voice back into hell.
Saturday broke Derek Carr and made him sound like Elvis.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I laughed. That's why I was laughing.
sad Derek Carr, put it on the poll, please, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Does sad Derek Carr sound like Elvis Presley? Because he does, and it's so unfair what we do to athletes. Care the most. We want you to care. If you don't care enough, we care more than you. What? You're taking pills that make you sleep at night because you're crying? You care too much, Derek Carr. We're going to make fun of you.
Amin all week long has been straight up laughing in the face of Derek Carr's tears.
So funny. It sounds so
It's
funny.
not, though.
It's
He's
hilarious.
bearing his soul in public.
It's not, but it's like one of the most absurd clips I've ever heard in my life. And I feel bad for laughing at it too, but my initial reaction was to kind of just be like, what?
It's a funny sound when he says the things that we have to put in ourselves.
Yes, inside of ourselves. Like
I want to hear it again.
Can you play it against also, speaking of taking pills, the Elvis Presley famous sound that we play around here?
Can you also play the sound of Mad Dog and of Pat McAfee too?
Any other requests while we're taking?
Also give us a look at me, Louie.
Can we get Baby Hit Me One More Time?
We'll do all that tomorrow.